All right, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on certification for the public procurement professional. I know a few people are still getting joined in here, but I want to go ahead and get started. My name is Jordan Henson, and I am the Procurement U Director at NASPO. We have a great group of people presenting with me today. So from NASPO, we have myself and Amanda Valdivieso. She is our Learning and Development Coordinator. From UPPCC, we have Ann Peshoff, UPPCC's Executive Director. And then alongside her, we have Kathleen Moretti, the chair of the UPPCC Board of Directors. So we are very excited to share with you all today. So before we get started, let's take care of a few housekeeping reminders. Everyone is currently muted by default, and we are recording this session so we can make it available on our YouTube channel afterwards for anybody that isn't able to attend. Also, we plan to have some time at the end for questions, and we are going to try to make the most out of the Zoom platform. So if you wouldn't mind, we would like everyone to ask their questions using the Q&A feature found in the Zoom menu bar to type in your questions. You're welcome to use the chat box to kind of chat or share ideas with each other, but our panelists won't be monitoring the chat for questions, just the Q&A section. So we're going to try to address those once we get to the end. You should also be able to unmute yourself at the end to ask a question as well. Also, after the webinar is over, we will be sharing the slides out in a thank you email that comes out from Zoom automatically. So keep an eye out for that. If you want to receive one contact hour for attending today's webinar, we will put out our Procurement U email up on the screen towards the end so that you can see that, and you can email us to request a certificate of attendance. So with that, I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. Let's dive right in. Amanda, if you'll go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is our agenda for today. We're going to start out by briefly discussing what certification means and why it's important. And then UPPCC will tell you everything you need to know about their certifications and the process to get certified. And then we want to talk about how to prepare for a certification exam and the various resources that are available to help you from NASPO. Next slide, please. So I want to start by setting a foundation of what certification is and why it's important. For starters, it's not just about adding some letters to the end of your name and your email signature, though that is obviously one of the perks. The purpose of a certification in any profession is to help establish standards for that profession and to guarantee that a person who holds the credentials has met a minimum standard for professional and ethical knowledge, skills, and abilities. Certifications also highlight a commitment to the profession, providing credibility and recognition to anyone who achieves it. The public procurement profession is growing rapidly, and certification really helps validate your qualifications and ensure that you are keeping up to date on the latest standards in the profession. Next slide, please. So there are a variety of benefits to becoming certified, both for the procurement official and the procurement office. For the procurement official, certification, of course, provides professional recognition and satisfaction, but it also fosters a deeper understanding of the most important knowledge, skills, and abilities of a procurement officer. It can provide a competitive advantage in lots of ways, and if a national certification is achieved, like the UPPCC certifications that we're going to talk about here in just a second, it can show your level of commitment and knowledge to anyone in the country, opening up job opportunities wherever you might need them. It's also a great opportunity to connect with a strong network of peers that are just as committed as you are to the profession. And then for the procurement office, recognizing a national certification like UPPCC's can provide several things, including a standard or benchmark of excellence within the organization. It can also help increase the professionalism and skill level of your staff and can strengthen the ethical foundation of your organization. Seeking a certification can help you become a lifelong learner, which is something I think is extremely important in today's fast-paced world. The knowledge base obtained through the experience of seeking certification will make you an asset to your organization and the profession far into the future. So before we move on, I want to make sure that everybody's still awake, and I want to do a quick poll. So let me see if I can get that started. So I'd like for you all, if the poll should be visible on your screen now, if you wouldn't mind to just go ahead and answer, are you interested in seeking certification at some point in your career? So this is more for my own curiosity, but I assume largely that if you're on this webinar that you are probably at least in some form or fashion interested in seeking certification and you're here to learn more about it. But we just wanted to throw a poll in there for a little interactivity and just to get things started, and we'll do another one a little bit later. So I'll give it a couple more seconds here, and then I will end the poll and share the results. All right, I'm gonna end the poll now, and let me share the results. So hopefully you can see the results on the screen. As you can see, it's either yes or unsure. The vast majority, 83% of you said yes, that you are interested in seeking it at some point in your career. And then some of you are unsure and you're here to learn more about it. So hopefully as we go along, we'll answer some of your questions and really pique your interest. And then for those of you that are interested, hopefully we'll be able to give you some more information. And then for those of you that maybe are unsure, hopefully we will interest you enough to where you jump into that yes category by the end. So next slide, please, Amanda. In your profession, there is no better certification to recognize the work that you do than the CPPB and the CPPO certifications offered from UPPCC. The UPPCC really is the gold standard in procurement certification and is the most widely recognized across the country. So with that, I would like to turn it over to the real experts, Ann and Kathleen, so they can tell us all about it.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I really want to thank NASPO for inviting us to participate on this webinar and discuss one of my very favorite subjects, which is not Harley-Davidson's, much to the chagrin of my husband, but UPPCC certifications. And Anne is, I've had my CPO, CPPB going on 20 years. And I am calling in from Calgary, Alberta, where it is 11 degrees. Anne.
Well, I'm Ann Peshoff. I am so glad to be here having the opportunity provided by NASPO to tell you more about UPPCC certifications, the CPPO and the CPPB, which I'm very proud of. I've worked for UPPCC for 14 years now, and we've seen a lot of change, and always making it better and better. And having finished our most recent job analysis, we're ready to make it even better still. So anxious to tell you all about the certifications as they exist today and what we have coming up in the near future.
Okay, next slide, Amanda. So UPPCC has two certifications, the CPPO, which is for supervisors of public buyers or managers. So having people reporting to them is a critical component of that certification, and the CPPB, which is a certified professional public buyer, and that is the buyers performing the purchasing functions in a non-supervisory position. There is no particular order that you would want to earn these in, and I'm dual certified, and the reason I did my B first and my O second, simply because I didn't have enough experience in public buying. I came from the private sector. So there are no rules of which one you get first or second, or whether you get both. It depends completely on what your plan is for you. Next slide. So the eligibility to write for the CPPO exam requires, the minimum requirement is that you have a bachelor's degree, 96 contact hours of learning, and 5 years of experience in a management or supervisory position in procurement, and 3 years of those, half of those can be public. That's a new eligibility change. Previously, the entire experience had to be in private, and now we made a change last year to allow half of it to be moved over from your public experience, because lots of people go from public to private. Next slide. The CPPB, again, we changed slightly the eligibility program last year, and there are two ways to earn your eligibility. Option one is to have earned a 2-year degree, 72 contact learning hours, and 3 years of experience. Again, 50% of that can be from your public experience. And the change that was made recently was a second option where there is no degree required, the same amount of contact hours, but an increase in the years of experience that you would need to have to be eligible to write the exam. Next slide, please. So the overview of the certification, from start to finish, is the very first thing you want to do is create a My UPPCC account. That is a free account, and it is available to anyone, even if you are not pursuing your certification right now. It is a very valuable tool for you to have to manage your education, to manage all the courses that you've taken. It's free, and I just tell everyone it's just a great way to have an account that moves with you and isn't, it's your own account. So if you move agencies, you still have all of your information in one place. So if you're going to go for certification, you first need to create that account. Then there's online application, and that is a non-refundable fee required for that online application. And that's the information that you complete to determine and demonstrate that you have met the eligibility requirements that we just went over. After those eligibility requirements are reviewed by administration, you will obtain an approval of application if you have demonstrated eligibility. If you haven't, you will get information back from administration about what's missing. So that's what would happen there. And then once you have your approval, then you are able, with that approval, to schedule a testing appointment with Prometric, who is the one who delivers the exam. We have them where you can go to a facility to take the exam, or we also have Proctor, where you can do it from your own kitchen if that's where you'd like to do it. And so there is an exam fee attached with that. And then you pass the examination. And then once you have passed the examination, there is a requirement to maintain your certification that you recertify every 5 years. And there is work that needs to be done, because one of the valuable tools I think attached to this particular certification is the requirement for continuous learning. And that recertification fee is the encourager for that, an acknowledgement of that continuous learning, because in 5 years, quite frankly, the whole landscape of procurement can change. And we've seen that in my career for sure. Next slide, please. And I am going to pass it over to Anne to carry on with the details on the whole process. Thank you.
Okay. Well, once you create an account, a UPPCC account, you have 1 year to begin the process, which means obtain eligibility and approval to take the exam, complete the exam successfully, or if your application is not approved at the outset, you still have 1 year of time in which to add additional information to your application to achieve eligibility. Now, as Kathleen mentioned, the first thing that you need to do is to create a UPPCC account, or well, a My UPPCC account. Since it is an online application, this is where you would need to go to open up an application, submit the relevant information, and upload supporting documentation, make all your payments associated with the certification, and track your application progress. Before you do create that account, just a good point to note is that you may also already have an account. If you were previously certified, applied, or were a candidate in the past for CPPO and CPPB, we issued My UPPCC accounts to everyone in our database when we launched the new certification management system. So if you're unsure whether you have an account, you could use the My UPPCC portal that you see there on the screen and search for your email address. If it exists and the system finds it, you just need to reset the default password there to avoid creating a duplicate account. But if your email address is not found, or you're quite confident that you don't already have one, you just follow the prompts to create that account and get started. Next slide. So once you're in your My UPPCC account, you'll be taken to the main dashboard area. And the dashboard area includes 4 main areas: your My UPPCC account profile, invoices, message history, and the main menu. If you're already certified, your certification number, your status, your original certification date, and your expiration date will be displayed for you easily right on that front screen. The invoice area is pretty self-explanatory. It stores all the invoices that you've received from UPPCC, your receipts, and permanently stores them, so if you need to access them for whatever reason, they're all there. The message history, it allows you to access notifications, general information and announcements, reminders about deadline dates, or communications that we've sent specific to you about your certification. Maybe it's coming up due for renewal, or your process within the certification program as a new applicant. All that information is stored in the message history. But what I'm displaying here for you on the screen now is the main menu area. And I'm displaying that because this is where you go to create a new application for certification, or access an existing application. This box here that's highlighted in red, you just go in and select the appropriate certification application for the program you're applying for. So click on CPPO certification application or CPPB to get started. And you'd go back to this main menu if you're not finished entering information, or you're just using this area to log your activities and looking to apply maybe for certification way into the future. This is where that information will be stored. Okay, next screen. And this screen is what you will see once you click on an application. Some important things to note here is that header up at the top. You definitely want to make sure that you've selected the right application. If you're interested in applying for CPPO certification, you definitely want to make sure that it says CPPO certification like this one does, and not CPPB. There are 2 separate applications for each of our certifications. Also, the status area up there at the top of the application is very important. All applications start in a pending status, and the status is updated as you move through the process. Encourage everyone to take a quick look at the instructions tab. That's the first one on that navigation list to the left. That gives you all the statuses that you could find your application get into as you move forward to becoming certified. And each of the areas underneath that are the individual sections of the application. You can jump around, fill out sections up at the top, go down to the bottom if you have some coursework and training to enter. You don't need to go in order, but this is basically how the application is set up. The bulk of the activities that you'll enter will be in the formal education, procurement experience, coursework and training section. That's where you would log your individual hours, the activities that you have attended in the appropriate number of hours, and even upload documentation for those activities. The system will automatically recognize that you have achieved the minimum requirements to apply for certification, once those appropriate number of hours or contact hours have been entered. And you'll recognize that by an additional box popping up at the bottom of the left-hand navigation, prompting you to submit your application and pay the fee. So once you click on that and submit your application, for example, your status of pending on your application will shift to staff review. Next slide. So moving on to the application process, once your application is in staff review, UPPCC staff is in the process of verifying your eligibility and that the requirements have been fully met at the time that the application was submitted. If you have, for example, 6 months left to meet the experience requirement, we recommend that you not try to submit your application by moving the dates forward in time. It will allow you to submit the application, but staff is also double checking and verifying eligibility. And if the eligibility requirements are not fully met at the time you submit the application, you would not be able to move forward to the next step. So very important that you make sure you can meet all the requirements at the time you submit that application. The verification process on the back end with staff review takes us about 4 to 6 weeks to review all of the applications that come in for a given testing period. As you might imagine, we as people are procrastinators and tend to wait to the last minute. So while we get applications that trickle in once we open the application window, the bulk of those applications do come in that last couple of days before the deadline. So we're in that phase right now, seeing as that the on-time deadline is this Monday, July 13th. So if you're interested in applying and haven't yet done so, I encourage you to possibly take this weekend and finish things up and get that application submitted. We do have a 2-week late submission window. You can still get in for 2 weeks after that on-time deadline, but there is an additional $50 late fee for late filing. Once staff reviews the application, if we have any issues or any questions, maybe you forgot to upload documentation, we'll reach out to you directly through that message history portal on your account. And you'll also see your application status move to additional information needed. And staff will have specific information within your application about what is the deficiency or what documentation is needed. You'll be able to quickly identify the issue, upload the extra documentation, respond to the information, and then submit it back to us for staff review once more. It's kind of a back and forth process until the application is fully reviewed and eligibility is determined. So once eligibility is determined, your status will again shift to exam qualified, which means you've been qualified by staff to move to the next step of testing. At that stage, you can log into your portal as an approved applicant and pay the exam scheduling fee. Once you pay the exam scheduling fee, you're automatically issued an authorization to test notification. This is an important document that includes instructions on how to schedule an appointment with Prometric and additional instructions on what to do when you arrive at a testing center, or if you're testing online, what you need to be aware of for online testing. We offer the exam twice a year in 2 separate 2-week testing windows. The first one is given in the first 2 weeks in May, and the second one in the last 2 weeks of October. Next slide. Okay, what I'm showing on the screen right now is the current examinations. Current exams for certification are based upon the UPPCC body of knowledge that was developed following our last routine job analysis study that was conducted in 2013. The body of knowledge is comprised of 6 main knowledge domain areas, which you see here on the screen listed as domain areas. The percentages of each of the 6 domain areas covered for each certification exam are different. Obviously, different percentages for CPPO as opposed to CPPB. As you might expect, a greater percentage of the buyer level certification exam is devoted to sourcing at 36% when compared to the officer level, which is set at 20%. The same can be said about the CPPO exam and the percentage of the exam that focuses on strategic procurement planning at 20% compared to the CPPO or CPPB, excuse me, that's only at 8%. It's just respects the differences in the 2 levels of certification. And these differences carry through to the types of questions that are asked of candidates on those exams, the CPPO and the CPPB. Both exams use a combination of recall and situational questions. Recall is basic knowledge required that's required to do the job, but is essential for competent practice. Situational questions ask you to take that basic knowledge a step further and apply it to responding to a real life situation that one might encounter in a procurement office. Different for the CPPO is that a higher level question is also asked on that exam that's not on the CPPB. And those are the analysis type questions that require you to pull knowledge and skills from a variety of different topics across public procurement, combine them together to respond appropriately to a given situation. Each of the exams consist of 190 4-option multiple choice questions. When candidates are given, regardless of whether it's a CPPB or CPPO exam, a maximum of 3.5 hours in which to complete the exam. Next slide. For exam preparation, a UPPCC always recommends that candidates refer to the UPPCC body of knowledge to guide their study efforts. Obviously, the UPPCC body of knowledge is our blueprint for developing the content that you'll be tested on for the exam. We can't ask you about any knowledge, skills, and abilities that we don't tell you about and include in that body of knowledge document. So that's a really important place to start with your exam preparation efforts. Do a personal self-assessment of how well you know the knowledge and task statements that are included in each of those 6 domain areas. Focus on all the areas of the exam, but focus in particularly and pay close attention to those areas that you've identified as your weak areas. Or I always recommend that you maybe pick up an extra course to help reinforce that weak area before you want to go into taking the actual exam. Since exams are designed to cover a variety of jobs across many different work settings, it's always best to study as part of a group so that you expose yourself to the ideas and the viewpoints of others as you prepare. You may be an expert in, for example, procurement in a K-12 organization, but it might help you in your preparation efforts if you're maybe partnering with somebody that operates procurement in a city setting or a state office, because it's a little bit different, and it's important to have all those background and understanding in preparation. Also consider joining a study group. At the very least, partner with one other individual to get that difference in viewpoints. And of course, take a study group. You get a more comprehensive, not take a study group, take a prep course like the NASPO course. Having a detailed training reinforces your knowledge and understanding of all the different concepts, maybe things that you didn't necessarily think about when you were performing your self-assessment, but still very important to get a handle on in your preparation efforts. Next slide. And Kathleen, I believe this one is yours.
And I would reiterate on Anne's point there about the prep course. I get asked all the time about preparing for the exam, what to do. I cannot stress enough how important, in fact, critical it is that you take a prep course before you make this investment of going to write the exam. For me, it was, I had been out of school for, well, I don't want to tell you how long I've been out of school for. And just sitting for an exam, if you haven't sat for an exam, it's different. It is, and I just can't stress that point enough. And I tell everyone that regardless of how well you think you know everything, find a prep course and take the prep course. You will thank me later. And no one has ever not come back and said, thank God I took that prep course. Yeah. So I wanted to take just a couple of minutes here to talk about the new examinations that are coming into effect in the spring of next year. We've gone through since November of 2019, the job task analysis process, which is a very robust method of developing the exam questions. It was a huge learning for me, and it was very exciting because of the amount of people that are included at each stage of the game to test and retest and make sure this is what the new environment is. So the new exams will test candidates on their KSAs based on a body of public procurement competencies that were developed through that job task analysis. So the candidates demonstrate competency in 6 domain areas relative to the certification. So you can see here that the domain areas are changed. As an example, negotiation previously was its own domain. That is now included in here, and we have changed because the industry has changed. And again, when Anne talked about the difference in the percentages from the CPP and CPPO, it's interesting that those percentages were arrived at thousands of surveys or thousands of responses to surveys where we asked people for each competency statement, how often do you do this and how important is it to your agency that you know about this? And that's how those percentages were developed. They wouldn't just like, you know, pull straws. It's a very interesting process that we go through to arrive at this. So this is the information for the new examinations and the new testing that will come into play for the May 2021 exam period. And I think that's our last slide for UPPCC.
Great. Thank you both, Anne and Kathleen. I really appreciate it. So I've seen we've had several questions come in, and we're not going to forget about you. We're going to come back to those at the very end. But I did want to take a quick poll, another quick poll, make sure everybody's still with us. So let me go ahead and pull that up real fast and launch the poll. So which UPPCC certification are you most interested in based on what you just heard of them going through? So I'll give it a couple of minutes for everybody to respond. And then after a couple more seconds here, after I share the results, we will we'll dive right into Amanda's gonna talk through how to help prepare for the exam. So all the different resources that are available through NASPO, including the prep courses that they mentioned, how you can access those, what all is involved and included in that, and then of course other resources that we have available. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and then share the results. So it looks like it's a decent mix. Looks like 60% or so are interested in the CPPB, and then around 30% in the O, and then 11% interested in both. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm glad that we were able to kind of go through both of those and talk about the different pieces. And thank you all for sharing your input. So that's always appreciated. And then with that, Amanda, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jordan. And thank you, Kathleen and Ann, for the information you provided about UPPCC and your certifications. So my name is Amanda Valdivieso, and I am the Learning Development Coordinator for NASPO. And one of my roles here is overseeing our CPPO and CPPB prep courses. So today we want to kind of go into what those courses entail and a little bit about those. So our certification exam prep courses are offered twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. So they basically follow the same outline as the exams scheduled themselves. And these courses are designed to help individuals prepare for the certification exams through the resources and live discussions that are aligned with the domain areas within the UPPCC body of knowledge. It is a self-study course in which the learners review recommended readings and resources and assess their knowledge through practice questions to gauge their exam readiness. In addition to the self-study aspect, we also have weekly live discussions the learners will engage in via webinar with an experienced facilitator who has experience in the procurement world. And right now, the course is a 9-week course. Right now, it's a $300 course rate. We have one coming up, starts August 10th, runs until October 11th. So it usually runs right up until the exam week for whichever semester of the exam that you're going to be taking. And the registration for this particular course will close July 27th. So if you are interested in taking one of the exam courses for this upcoming fall, you'd want to go ahead and get started with applying for that as soon as possible, because we are getting close to that date. So there are a lot of great benefits to taking our exams. The biggest one is that the exams help assess the exam readiness and identify areas of additional preparation. We also have a lot of exam practice questions, over 100 in fact, within our learning management system that you can take and retake as many times as you need throughout your course. And that will help you gauge what areas you might be weakest in or strongest in within the different domains. In addition, there's also access to community discussion groups and the facilitators throughout the course, which means you're able to engage with other learners. And I believe Anna had mentioned previously how important it is to have study groups and also to be involved and work with other people, because you'll get that other experience that you may not normally have within your own job. So you'll get that engagement as well. And I think one of the most important benefits to our prep courses is that all of our course materials, the prep questions, the resources that are available within the learning management system are all available to you indefinitely once you complete the course. And so this is especially important if you are someone who is unsure about whether or not you want to take the exam right away or even apply right away, but maybe you want to take the prep course to gauge, am I even ready to apply and start the process of getting the examination? This prep course is great because even after you finish it and you realize, okay, it's not going to be this year, it might be next year, that course material will still be available to you, the following year when you decide to apply and take the exam. So that is probably one of the greatest benefits that we have to offer with the exam prep courses. And currently, as our prep courses stand, we have a 72% pass rate for our CPPBs and an 88% pass rate for our CPPOs. So those who take our exam or take our prep courses are, for the most part, passing, which is excellent. So I want to quickly show you a little bit of what our learning management system looks like and how you would access the course if you decided to take it. So this is the homepage of the course itself. So whenever you would sign up for our prep course and log in the first time, this is how you would access it every time you'd log in. And what's great about it is it shows you your progress report. So it kind of shows you how you're going through the course, and it shows you the number of credit hours that are available for it, and a little bit of quick links for different resources available within the course itself. And then inside the course, you also have the navigation panel, and the navigation panel provides you with an outline of how the course is structured. And one of the things we do start off with within the course is not only just a introduction on how to use this learning management system and how to go through it, but also how to structure your preparation using our course as your overall guide. And then of course, as you can see, it demonstrates each domain. It'll show the test prep questions that you can access and the resources within each domain. So with that, we can go on to the next slide, which shows you an example of what that looks like within the course. So first you can see a sample test prep question. And as you can see, I obviously answered this one wrong for the sake of demonstration, but what it shows you is you get to go through the questions, and right away after you submit, you're gonna find out if it's the right or wrong answer, and that'll allow you to go back and study that question again, and then of course you can retake these tests as many times as you like. In addition to the prep questions, we also have the domain resources. So as you can see, the way it's structured is within each domain, we show the knowledge statement, and then it'll show you within that knowledge statement the resources, either free or paid, that are available to you that you can access within the course itself. So with these resources and with these test questions that are a guide for you, these are just ways that you can assess your exam readiness throughout the course. And then the last thing within the course that I do want to touch on is that outside of the course itself, we also have a community discussion board. So I had mentioned earlier before that we do have weekly live discussions. These are facilitated by a procurement professional who's also a certified CPPO and has been in the industry for many years. And he provides a structured, facilitated discussion every week based on the 6 domains. And then in addition to that, we have this community board in which you can talk to the other people within your course, the other learners. It's a great way to bounce ideas off of each other. And if you have any questions, it's a good way to post questions here beforehand, because you can use that to help determine the direction of conversation in an upcoming webinar. And we also do post a lot of updated information about the weekly webinars or about any other information regarding the course on these discussion boards. So it's a great way for you to keep track of, you know, what changes or what might be going on in the course that week or the upcoming weeks. So the discussion board is a really important part to help you stay engaged with the course itself and with the other learners and the facilitator during your 9-week course. Now, one of the things that you do receive when you pay for your prep course is the State and Local Government Procurement, a Practical Guide. This is our textbook for the prep courses. It is included in the cost of our prep courses, so when you sign up, we will mail you a copy of this practical guide, and it is yours to keep and use as an additional study tool. This is provides an in-depth look at best practices in the procurement industry, as well as any current trends. Now, you can also purchase this separately on our website if you wanted to, because you can use it as your own self-study tool if you'd prefer. And the link is here on our slides. And as we had mentioned before, we will be sharing the slides. So once we share the slides, you'll have access to that link and you will be able to sign up at that, or you could order it at that time. So in addition to our prep courses, I did want to quickly mention that NASPO also has various affordable online self-paced courses. These can be used as learning hours or contact hours for your certification or recertification as well, because a variety of the courses actually reflect different domains within the UPPCC body of knowledge. We have different courses like our Foundations in Public Procurement course, our Introduction to RFP or Request for Proposals, and our Introduction to Market Research. So we have a lot of different courses available to you on our Procurement U portal that you can access as well, in addition to the prep course for additional study and to get you ready for your exams. And last but not least, we also offer free monthly webinars, which can also count towards contact hours. So if you are interested in attending any of those, we usually try to do one free one a month. We actually have another one coming up next week called Organizing Your Next RFP for Procurement Excellence on July 14th. And then our research innovation team will have one on change management on August 11th. And like I said, we try to do this about once a month to give you guys more information regarding procurement and all the latest trends. So make sure to check our website to check back for more monthly webinars. And we already have the registration up for the one we have next week. So if you want to check that out, you can. And then for our change management one, we will have registration up shortly. So make sure to keep checking back on our website for more information about that as it comes out. So with that being said, I think we have some questions, Jordan, in the chat or in the Q&A.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and run through a few of these. And it's weird how it does it. It doesn't put them in direct order. So I'm going to try to do the easy ones first. So one of the easiest ones was if the slides would be available after the webinar. And so yes, the answer to that is yes. We're going to share those in the thank you email that'll be sent out after this webinar. So just be on the lookout for that. There'll be a link in that thank you email to download the slides, or you can always just email us if you happen to miss that, or it goes to your junk or something, and we can definitely send you the slides. We have included some links that are clickable in the slides too, to just help make it easier. So let's see, trying to go back through the questions here. So there's a couple of questions, Ann and Kathleen, specifically for you all for when you were talking about. One of the questions was, in the degree requirements, does it matter what the degree is in?
No, it can be in any practice or field.
Great. And that is the same for both, right? The B and the O requirements.
That's right.
Great. So we had a couple of questions that were asking about that. There was another question about the official transcripts in the application. Are they required by the application deadline, or can those come in after?
We're flexible with the official transcript. The application needs to be complete, but we understand that it takes a little bit more time for college or university to follow through with getting us the transcripts. So that's okay. We just hold the review and the approval decision until they arrive, and you'll be able to see within the application once it has arrived, because we'll upload the official to the application.
Great, thank you. So another question here was, how do you determine or calculate experience for the eligibility requirement? What job titles or roles qualify if you are in charge of procurements, but it wasn't your sole job or your sole title, et cetera? There's
kind of a couple questions in there. What job titles? We don't rely on the job title. We ask for position descriptions so we can evaluate the work that you're responsible for doing. Some of our applicants have very generic job titles, and it's not until you have the opportunity to look at what the individual is responsible for are you able to approve it as relevant experience. So I wouldn't be worried so much about the job title that you have, as long as the position description reflects what you're responsible for. It should be good. In the event that you also have a generic official position description, like program manager, and you may be assigned to the procurement department, that description is probably going to be generic as well. You could ask for a working position description to be provided from your supervisor or human resources that could be sent or uploaded along with the official, and that's perfectly acceptable. How do we calculate the experience? We require a number of years, so it's just month by month. So it would be if you've got 2 years and 6 months, it would be the 2.5 years. So you'd still have 6 more months to go to meet the 3-year requirement.
Great, thank you. Thank you for answering all those different questions, Ann. So here's one I think that's a little bit related to that, and I'm going to ask it, but I think I know how to clarify part of it. So this person says, I'm expecting to achieve the 1.5-year minimum public procurement experience in May 2021. I would like to know if I will be eligible for applying for the May exam, as I would assume the application deadline will be before May. And at that time, I wouldn't have enough public procurement experience as of yet, or would I need to wait and take the exam in October 2021? I'm sorry, go ahead.
We recommend that you meet all the experience coursework requirements fully at the time that you submit the application. So if the experience won't be met until May 2021, we wouldn't be able to approve the application. So we recommend that you wait and apply for the next round, which would be the October 2021. The deadline is a couple months prior to the exam. Like for example, for the fall exam that occurs in October, the deadline is Monday, so in July. So that's the point at which you need to meet the requirements.
Thank you. There was a question about if you plan to take the test, if you do not plan to take the test until 2021, is the current body of knowledge appropriate, or will it be updated? And I think the answer to that is yes, it will be updated.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead, Kathleen.
That's correct. So then the changes are actually going to be released very shortly. There'll be a press release coming out. I think it's within the next 10 days for sure. And that gives the educators and potential applicants the opportunity to review the changes. And also there'll be a crosswalk that shows, you know, what's changed. So you'll see what the new domains and the new competency, what all of that is. And there will also be a way for you to see what is the difference from before. Now it would be my thought that the educators, they're asking for it as quickly as they can because they need to create their programs, and that would be how they're going to work. And I think where the question is going is that if they take the prep course now for October and they don't pass, or they choose not to take the exam in October, how are they going to move on to the new coursework, and will it be able to be shifted that way? So I think that'd be different between educators, and maybe NASPO can speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Kathleen. That's a great segue to, we did have a couple questions asking in that same vein. And so essentially, yes, if you are gonna take our fall prep course, and I noticed one person said that they have already signed up for our fall prep course, it is not going to be perfectly aligned to those new changes that Kathleen mentioned, but we will be, as soon as they make the official press announcement and share the crosswalk and the new updated body of knowledge, we will be updating our prep course, you know, in conjunction with UPPCC. We'll be working through all that, and we will update our prep course for the spring to better align with the new body of knowledge and all those updates. So I guess what I would say to that is, if you know for certain that you are not going to take the exam until 2021, then you should probably wait until 2021 to take the prep courses. If you are already, I know at least one person said they had already signed up for our fall prep course, and if that is the case, just reach out to us and let us know that, and we can either defer your registration to the spring to the new prep course, or we can give you a refund and you can wait and reapply whenever you decide to take it, whichever one works best. But yeah, we'll be realigning all of that and making sure that the course is going to be a true prep course to help you be prepared for the new exam in 2021. I hope that answers the questions. There was a couple here, so let me look through and make sure but one of the questions was about how to find prep courses. I think that came in potentially before we kind of went through that, but obviously you can go to NASPO's website to find our prep course. And I think hopefully Amanda gave you a pretty good idea of what is in that. You can always email us as well if you're curious and want to find out more. Check the time. We're doing okay on time. There was a question, Anne or Kathleen, about does some legal coursework, can that count towards contact hours?
Legal coursework can count as would a variety of other different topics. The way that we make that determination is, can the course be linked back to one or more topics found in the current body of knowledge. We'll be shifting that, aligning it to the current body of knowledge, to the new body of knowledge and competencies once that's put into place. So for the May 2021 exam, but most definitely legal coursework does count.
Thank you. Let's see. I'm just trying to read through a couple more questions. It's hard to see which one. I tried to mark the ones answered but I missed some. Oh, does library, sorry, this one is a little weird, but does library collection development experience count as experience? It's buying books for libraries.
I would answer that, again, it's not your job title, but the description of your role. So it is my opinion, because I know what that role actually is, you are a buyer. So when you're submitting your description of your role, I would suspect that you're describing, that would be how you would describe it, and it would be eligible for hours or for employment.
Thank you. So there was a question specific to NASPO about someone who was planning to take the CPPO exam in May of this year, but because of COVID-19 did not do that and is elected to do that in October of this year, and already paid for the NASPO course, but is not seeing the materials. So yes, we did just upgrade our website to a new learning management system. So we'll double check that. I'll make a note of who submitted that, and we'll follow up with you afterwards to make sure that you get those materials. Because as we said, we make sure everything is still available to you whenever you're going to be testing later on. So it seems like there might be an issue there, and we will double check that. And of course, if at any point you take any of our courses or prep courses or anything like that, and you ever have an issue, just let us know, and we can usually get it resolved pretty quickly. And then one other question for us, which was, if we already have a copy of the textbook and sign up for the prep course, is there a discount available or a way to request to not receive another copy? So you can definitely request to not receive another copy. There's not really a discount that we could provide, because the cost of the course is for the hours of the course and the course materials. The book is essentially provided for free, and is not included really in the calculation of the cost. So. But yeah, you can definitely request to not receive another copy. We did just update to the 3rd edition last year though. So I would want to make sure, if you have an older copy that was the 2015 edition, we've updated to a newer one. And if you do have the older copy, I would recommend you go ahead and receive the newest edition that we have to submit. Trying to look through, we got a couple more minutes here. I think that's almost all the questions that we had that I think we've answered almost all of these. Yep. All right. Well, I guess we got 2 minutes to spare here, but I just want to thank everybody for participating and joining us, and for your interest in certification. Thank you for asking some great questions. I hope we were able to provide you some information that was helpful. And I, again, encourage everyone to seek certification at some point in your career. It doesn't get any better than what UPPCC is doing. And it really is just a valuable network of professionals. And so just thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Kathleen and Ann for joining us on this and sharing all of your information. Yeah, Kathleen.
I just have I was trying to get in there. So I just have a closing comment. I just want to reiterate on that, creating my UPPCC account. The other thing that provides for you is all the information and updates on what's going on with UPPC, what's going on with the certifications. We do eligibility reviews. We have an academic committee. There's all kinds of things that is all useful information for you to earn or know what to do with your certification or recertification. And it is a great tool for you to have, even if you choose not to pursue certification, just to house all your records. So I just really encourage you to go and look at that free service. And thanks for inviting us to participate.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. And don't want to forget, if you do need a certificate for attending today's webinar, to get a contact hour, just email procurementu@naspo.org. Our email's there on the screen, and we will get a certificate sent to you as soon as we can. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.